I speak in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, let's deal with that first lesson. I have no idea why the God Almighty would give a 100-year-old a baby. I mean, I got 2 kids. I think I was a grandfather at around 50. But the Almighty makes promises, and the Almighty keeps promises, and they got what they were promised. And fortunately, by the time Abraham gets this child and Sarah, they are rich. So they take that kid, pass it off to a servant, and look good. The dean of the seminary, which I am an alum for both master and doctorate, Ian Markham. Ian wrote a book along with one of the seminarians about preaching. And a little commentary, it's very small, and each Sunday he has a little commentary on the gospel lesson, gives you some ways to go this way and that way, and has a joke to begin. Some of the jokes, really good. Some of them would make it on hee-haw. I mean, corny. I told Ian, I said, don't give up your day job just yet. But today's pretty good. So Savannah Jones turns 103. She's still at home, still drives, takes care of herself. Fascinating. Local paper wants to send out a reporter to interview her, to find out how she has accomplished 103 years old. So the reporter goes out and says, well, what do you attribute to this, your longevity? And she says, well, I never argue. And the reporter says, well, it's got to be something else. Genes, food, exercise, something. And she says, I think you're right. Now, the passage from Romans, I know as a kid, I was told, suffering and all the other kind of good stuff is good for you. It'll make a man out of you, right? You all been through, some of you, surely. I'm not the only one who had someone say, suck it up, chin up, keep a straight face, go out and do this stuff. Suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. That's why most people rather just skip Good Friday and just jump to Easter, where it's all love and nice and things. But Romans talks about what the church is struggling with. They're not struggling, we talk about struggling, and some of you will tell us that it's always so cold in this church. That's not a struggle. I know you're rich enough to bring a sweater. And, that's not struggling. The early church was facing martyrdom, being put to death. Now, we are going through a struggle. We have, as the bishop says, we have separated from our rector for irreconcilable differences. And so we can read that passage that Jesus said, we're kind of a sheep without a shepherd, and we feel it, but that's not true. We have a shepherd, Jesus Christ. And in Romans it says, because of the struggle and suffering and endurance and character and a hope, the first line of that says, we have the peace of Christ. That's That's our foundation. Now, I know a lot of you have either been through or had friends go through divorce. And what happens when there is a divorce? You pick sides. And you'll say, well, I don't understand why they got a divorce. They're such a cute couple. Looks isn't everything. But that's not what we're going through. As Savannah Jones says, I don't argue. We're called to be supportive. We're called to be supportive and to affirm what you and I have been called to do within this church. And that is face, if we see it as a struggle, to face into it and become and lead to endurance and leads to character and it leads to hope. And the hope that we have is the faith in Jesus Christ. What gives me hope today? Baptisms. I mean, my heavens, you look at the newspaper, you look at the TV, you look at your Google, you look at everything else, and the world looks like it's going to, you know where, in a handbasket, fast. Yet these people have faith. They're going to have these children baptized and grow up in the church. That's faith. I have a marriage coming up in July, and I'm thinking, gives me hope. Two people looking at what's going on in the world have strong enough a commitment to say, we're going to get married. We're going to be supportive of each other, and we're going to make it. We're going to endure character and hope. Because first and foremost, you and I, again, have that peace of Christ. Now, we went through the Great Tribulation, and that's COVID. I know you've heard me say before. The churches are struggling, as are businesses, to overcome what have gone through with COVID. We still have a lot of people who just tune in and watch us on YouTube. I'd say, good morning. But we have lost also a lot of people as we have moved through this. And Jesus does say, they look as they are harassed without a shepherd, and he says, I have compassion, and he sends the disciples, and he calls them apostles, and sends them out to do the work that he has been doing, and they can do even greater things than he can do because he has given them the Spirit to accomplish this. And you are called to do the same thing. As we look around, and if we don't see people that we haven't seen since COVID, call them. Check on them. Any bachelors in the baptismal party? Oh, go ahead and raise your hand. Good. Now, I understand that bachelors will borrow a cute little dog and walk it because it's a chick magnet. Have you heard that? A better magnet, sir, is to take a baby who's just been baptized. And the women say, oh my gosh, if he's that good, he is marriage eligible. But you just don't take it for your own sight. You take this child, as the parents will also, and say, this child has been baptized at St. James Episcopal Church this morning because we have hope. That God has blessed us in this life and will be with us. We will not be comfortless, and we'll move on. That is evangelism. But it's also being a faithful witnesses. That as we take this child and show it, as the parents say, my child was baptized at St. James Episcopal Church, they say, well, I heard some awful things. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue. Savannah Jones says, I don't argue. But I am blessed, and we are blessed that these children have been commissioned to go into the harvest, and you will have to teach them how to be harvesters in the kingdom of God. Our mission is to bring the faith of Jesus Christ to those who do not have it. It's as simple as that. Our baptismal covenant says it is hard We are called to love and seek this Christ in everyone. And to do that, you and I need that peace of Christ that is our solid foundation, that we can accomplish all that God would have us do in this body of Christ. Amen.